everybody. It's so nice to see such a great turnout for tonight's program, Improving Your Health with Plant-Based Nutrition. I'm Anna Barlow, an Adult Services Librarian with the Troy Public Library. Welcome. I would like to thank the Friends of the Troy Public Library for their generous support of this program and the many programs that we bring you. They do so much for us, and we truly appreciate everything that they do, especially these days. So tonight's program is organized through Veg Michigan. So I will turn this over to Olivia Grandpré, who will tell you a bit about what they do, and then introduce our main speaker, Chantal Singer. And Chantal will share with us the benefits of a plant-based diet. And now, here is Olivia.
Thanks so much, Anna. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much to the Troy Public Library for hosting. As Anna said, my name is Olivia, and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for Veg Michigan. Just a little bit about Veg Michigan. We are the largest nonprofit in Michigan focused on promoting the benefits of a plant-based diet. We put on educational programs like this one a couple times a month, host 2 large events every year, send out an awesome newsletter at the start of every month. We have a YouTube channel with cooking videos and more, and have recently started a college giveaway program that encourages students to try plant-based foods for the first time for free. Here on the slide that you'll see is our website if you want to check us out and learn more about our work. I've also listed all of our social media where we promote all of our upcoming events. We do monthly raffles where you can win prizes from local businesses. We highlight our favorite places to find plant-based food around Michigan and much more. If you like what you see tonight and want to support our work, the best ways to do that are to either make a donation, become a member, or both. If you are thinking of donating, we are excited to say that right now the majority of your donations will go to support our college giveaway program for students who are new to plant-based eating that I mentioned earlier. Each student who signs up gets a box packed with delicious vegan foods, including a Beyond Burger, a box of mac and cheese, a coupon for a free vegan pizza from Cottage Inn, and much, much more. And we already have over 100 students signed up for the program, and the numbers keep growing every day. So this is really making a big impact on the eating choices of this younger generation. Or if you are thinking of becoming a member, the basic membership is only $20 a year, and that really helps us out a lot as well. And you can do either of this by going to vegmichigan.org that you see on the top of this slide right here, and either clicking join to become a member or donate to make a donation. And I really appreciate any type of support you're able to give us. And now I'm happy to introduce your speaker for tonight. Chantal Singer is a registered dietitian nutritionist for St. Joseph Mercy Health System's Michigan Heart and Vascular Institute, teaching plant-based eating and lifestyle medicine as part of the Pratikin Intensive Cardiac Rehab Program. She's very passionate about plant-based eating for human health, planetary health, and animal welfare. Thanks so much, and take it away, Chantal.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Olivia. Thank you to Veg Michigan and to Troy Public Library for giving me this opportunity to speak. I'm so grateful for any chance to spread the good word about plant-based nutrition and the profound impacts that it can have on not only our health, but on animal welfare and our planet. So I do want to create a bit of a community today by utilizing the chat box a little more. So if you're here for the first time, learning about plant-based eating, plant-based nutrition for the first time, go ahead and type in beginner. And if you're farther along in your plant-based journey, a little more advanced, go ahead and type in advanced or wherever you're at in your plant-based journey, and we'll see who's here. And I will say this presentation will be perfect for those who are beginners. It's going to be kind of the basics of plant-based eating, but if you are more advanced, then this will also be great for you for maybe more motivation or inspiration for different recipes or meal or snack ideas. It looks like we got quite a few beginners and a few advanced as well. Awesome. So good mix of people. Happy to have you all here. Thank you so much for being here and investing your time and energy into learning more about plant-based eating. One thing I will say about the pictures throughout the presentation is that while we'll be diving into specific nutritious foods and beverages to include, the pictures are more of meal or snack ideas, because I wanted to make it a little bit more practical for what those meals or snacks could look like. So I've got 3 pictures here that I'll describe. The one to your left that you see is the Chipotle cauliflower tacos. It's got a cashew Chipotle sauce. And then the middle is some fresh green grapes. And to the right, we've got some lentil vegetable soup. So yeah, the presentation may cause a little bit of hunger, but that's okay. Hopefully you already ate. So my outline for today is that I'm going to talk a little bit more about myself, who I am and what I do, and my journey to plant-based eating. I want to define lifestyle medicine because whole food plant-based eating is just one pillar of overall health. So it's important to touch on all those different pillars. And then I want to explore blue zones briefly. Blue zones are geographical areas of the world where people are living statistically longer, healthier, and happier lives. So of course, we want to see what they're doing. And then I'm going to differentiate between different types of plant-based eating because there's quite a few buzzwords going around like vegan, plant-based, whole food plant-based. And so they're really similar, but I'll clarify the slight differences there. And then next we'll dive into those specific nutritious foods and beverages to include, and I'll talk a little bit about the health benefits of including those. And then I'll provide a sample one-day meal plan for the whole food plant-based eating. And we'll also go over certain like plant-based alternative products, and then other bonus tips for plant-based eating and transitioning to plant-based eating. And finally, I'll just share some other educational resources. Okay, so a little bit about me. I've been a dietitian for a little over 3 years now, almost 3.5 years. And majority of my career has been spent working in childhood obesity. I was at the pediatric weight management clinic at University of Michigan, and I did some research on that as well. But more recently, I've switched over to St. Joe's and the Michigan Heart and Vascular Institute in the cardiac rehab program. And I'm really passionate about heart health, which I'll talk about a little here shortly. But a little bit about my journey to plant-based eating is that the Forks Over Knives documentary got me. It definitely inspired me, motivated me, and I dove deeper into some of the leaders of the plant-based movement, some doctors like Dr. Michael Greger, Dr. Kahn, Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Campbell. And after learning about all the great impacts that it can have on health, I had to share this information with my dad. So my dad's parents, my grandparents, unfortunately passed away of heart attacks in their 50s. And at this time, when I was learning about plant-based eating, my dad had a number of risk factors for heart disease, including high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and he was overweight. And my family went plant-based together. And after several months, he was able to drop his cholesterol 70 points. He was able to get his blood pressure into a healthy range, and he was able to lose 30 pounds and keep it off to this day. And I'm very proud to share that he is turning 60 this month in a couple weeks, and he is heart attack free. So that is just one small example of how profound the impacts can be, and I'm excited to share more today. Okay, so I did want to touch on lifestyle medicine. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine defines it as therapeutic lifestyle practices that can either prevent, treat, or even reverse chronic diseases. And the World Health Organization actually says that up to 80% of chronic diseases are preventable. And so there are some factors like age, genetics, family history that we cannot control. But the great thing is that there's a lot of things that we can control. And these pillars are healthful eating, so whole food plant-based eating, which we'll talk more about today, of course. And then also including daily physical activity, developing ways to manage stress, cessation of tobacco, and forming positive relationships, as well as improving sleep. So these are all really important pillars. And I extended the about me, sharing my favorite forms of physical activity are rock climbing and cycling, just because I think they're super fun. But by all means, physical activity does not need to be super vigorous. I mean, just going for walks or yoga is all really good exercise as well. So I'd love to hear from all of you. what is your favorite form of exercise or your favorite way to move your body? And or what is something that you want to try new? So go ahead and type in the chat box. Body pump. I don't know what that is. Cycling, awesome. Fellow cycler. Pilates, walking. Walking is great. Okay, thank you all for sharing that. Ooh, line dancer. These are some new ones that I haven't seen before. Really cool. Looks like we got a good group. Okay, so I did want to touch on blue zones. As I mentioned, blue zones are geographical areas of the world where people are living statistically longer, healthier, and happier lives. So researchers went into these areas of the world and found 9 habits that most of these people are doing on a daily basis. And they're really similar to the pillars of lifestyle medicine, but they get a little bit more detailed. So going over those, up top, moving naturally. Most people in the blue zones aren't doing vigorous exercise. They're just walking over 10,000 steps a day. And then having the right outlook is really important. So having a purpose of why you're here, and then some sort of downshifting, which goes along with stress management. Whether that be taking a nap or some sort of relaxation time, meditation, yoga, etc. And then eating wisely, of course, is a good pillar. 80% rule refers to listening to our body's fullness and hunger cues and pushing away the plate when we're 80% full. And then the plant slant, of course, is a whole food plant-based eating. Research shows that I think it's 90 to 95% of people in blue zones, people in blue zones are eating 90 to 95% whole food plant-based. And so really, really powerful. Wine at 5 is more optional. It was just one region where organic red wine, no more than 1 glass a day for women and 2 for men. It showed positive benefits. And one thing to note is that was done socially and rather than alone. And then connecting is that last pillar. So having right tribe, people around you that support you and uplift you, and putting loved ones first, family and friends first. And then having some sort of belonging to community as well is really, really important. Okay, so I did want to touch on the terms plant-based, vegan, whole food plant-based. And like I said, they're interchangeable, but there's slight differences. So whole food plant-based eating is a focus on whole plant foods and minimizing any processed foods and avoiding animal foods. And so this includes whole grains, fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, and we'll dive deeper into all those food groups today. And then a plant-based diet is really similar, although it will include more of the highly processed foods or some refined foods and oils that are vegan and avoiding those animal products. And then a vegan diet is one that is more strict to avoid animal products, and vegans tend to extend their compassion to animals in the form of goods and services as well. So avoiding any goods or services that exploit animals. So yeah, very interchangeable with all of them, but slight differences. So it's good to know that. Okay, so this is the vegan My Plate. For some of you, you may have seen the USDA My Plate, which is the new food pyramid. And this is the vegan version. So I really like this because it's just really simple. And I think that eating shouldn't be too complex. It should be something that's simple. And the 5 food groups are fruits, vegetables, grains with a focus on whole grains, and then plant-based proteins, and then not forgetting calcium-rich foods. And typically I recommend having 1 to 3 food groups for snacks, and then at least like 3 to 5 food groups for meals so that we're getting a variety of nutrients and good for energy. I also wanted to throw this out there. This is Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen. He has an app, a free downloadable app with this where you can check off the servings you've had of each food group a day. And he says this is everything we should ideally include in our everyday routine for optimal health and longevity. And so these food groups are beans, berries, fruits, cruciferous vegetables, leafy greens, vegetables, flaxseed, nuts, grains, spices, and then he also added in there exercise and beverages. And we'll dive deeper into all these food groups later on. Okay, so that first food group is personally my favorite food group. I love fruits. All fruits are awesome choices. We just want to focus on the whole fruits and limit or avoid fruit juice. Whole fruits going to come packaged with what we call dietary fiber, which helps regulate our blood sugars. And so bananas, berries, oranges, apples, pears, you name it, all good options. We can have fruit in smoothies. You can have it in salads. You can make it just a fruit salad. You can have it on its own. Just grab an apple or a banana as a snack. Lots of great ways to eat fruits. And I'd love to hear what your favorite way to eat fruit is. So go ahead and type in the chat box, either what's your favorite fruit or what's your favorite way to eat fruit. I will say, as you see in the picture, my favorite is berries. That's a mix of blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries, but I also love the smoothies as well. Someone said apples, daily smoothie, awesome. Whole fruit smoothie. Kids don't complain, love that. Pomegranates, cherries. Ooh, pomegranates, that's good right now in season. Awesome, thanks for sharing. And vegetables, we want to eat the rainbow too, looking for a lot of good color. The CDC recommends having at least 5 different colors a day to get a good variety of nutrients. And we've got them divided into cruciferous vegetables, leafy greens, and other vegetables, which was on Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen as well. So cruciferous vegetables are they're the type of plant species that means cross-bearing, and these include cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, bok choy, Brussels sprouts. And these are particularly helpful for fighting cancer. We want to have at least a half a cup a day of these to reap those benefits. And leafy greens are also important to include. These are in some of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, meaning they have a lot of vitamins and minerals packed into them with a low amount of calories. And so these leafy greens are like kale, collard greens, Swiss chard, arugula, spinach, all that good stuff. And then other vegetables, not limited to this list, carrots, cucumbers, bell peppers, squash, sweet potatoes, asparagus, all awesome options. And what we see off here to the right is a salad. So the greens are Swiss chard, and then there's some beets in there as well, topped with hemp hearts and nuts for some protein, and then not pictured as some balsamic vinegar. So great ways to eat vegetables. Obviously, salads are good options. You can do stir fries, add them to pastas, add them to sandwiches, pizza, you name it. You can have them as their own side dish. Lots of great options. So go ahead and type in the chat box, what is your favorite vegetable and what is your favorite way to eat vegetables? And I will say my favorite vegetables are beets. And I love them just roasted. I will say I do eat spinach probably more often than any other vegetable, but beets are some of my favorites. Someone else, Rachel said beets too. April said roasted broccoli. Jacob said asparagus. Ooh, 2 asparagus. Great. Sweet potatoes roasted. Great. Thanks for sharing, everybody. Okay, so everybody knows eat your fruits and vegetables. They're good for us, but why are they good for us? So lots of different reasons. Fruits and vegetables are really high in water content, so they're super hydrating. They're also high in dietary fiber, which is, like I mentioned, really good for helping control blood sugars. It's really good for digestion. They're really high in vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, and phytochemicals, which are really great for boosting the immune system and reducing risk of chronic diseases and just improving overall health, longevity, and energy levels. So lots of great reasons to eat fruits and vegetables. The picture that we see up to the right is of a green smoothie. This is one of my favorite green smoothies to make. It's really simple and easy. It's you can use spinach or kale mixed with pineapple, frozen pineapple, and banana, and then water. And that is it. You could throw extra things in there if you wanted, but that is all that what is. So really tasty, really simple. Next food group we've got is whole grains. Whole grains are grains that go through little to no processing. So on the alternative, we have refined grains. So refined grains are do go through a process, and they lose a lot of nutrients in that process. So examples of that would be like white bread, white rice, white pasta, and grains that don't go through much processing like whole grains. They have all parts of the grain. And examples are oats, quinoa, barley, farro, whole wheat pasta, whole wheat bread. I really like the Ezekiel 49 brand. It's a sprouted whole grain bread. It's really wholesome, and you can find it in the freezer section at most grocery stores. Corn is actually a whole grain, lots of fiber in there. And the picture that you see off to the right is a bowl of oatmeal. Another great way to start the day. This is the oatmeal, or is the whole grain part of it, but it's also mixed with peanut butter, soy milk, and then topped with some ground flax and fruit with blueberries and bananas. So I'd love to hear what your favorite whole grains are and how you would like to eat them. So go ahead and share in the chat box what is your favorite grain, or what is a new grain that you see here that you've never heard of that you might want to try new. Ooh, the banza pasta. Yeah, that chickpea pasta is really good. Oatmeal with bananas. Yep. Ooh, purple rice. Like red rice or black rice. Brown rice. Anyway, awesome. Farro. Yeah, farro's great. It's got like that nutty, chewy texture. I'd like to try these. Yeah, definitely try that Ezekiel bread. It's super wholesome. And they also have a low sodium brand too that has 0 milligrams of sodium in it. So really, really wholesome options. Oh, and I did want to touch on other ways to have whole grains. So obviously oatmeal is great for breakfast. You can throw oats in smoothies too. Quinoa is great in salads or in side dishes. Farro is also great in salads or in side dishes. Brown rice is great for stir fries. Farro is actually really good for stir fries as well. Whole grain pastas, you can make different pasta dishes, and whole grain bread, you can make sandwiches and toast. So lots of options for eating whole grains. And um, the benefits of whole grains are that they're a complex carbohydrate, which means they have dietary fiber, right? So that fiber is going to help keep us fuller longer and give long lasting energy. There's some plant protein in whole grains, especially quinoa and farro, and oats have some as well. And then good vitamins and minerals. So it's really helpful for overall health and longevity. And like I said, that fiber is going to be really helpful for digestive health. And having at least 3 servings a day of whole grains has been shown to have great benefits, but at least 3 to 5 servings a day is going to have that maximum benefit. And the picture that you see off to the right there, the whole grain is actually the corn tortilla. And then it's topped with mango and black bean mixture, and that's a forks over knives recipe. A lot of these recipes that you see throughout this presentation are from the forks over knives recipes, and those are free. That's a website online, and I'll share more about the resources at the end. Okay, one of the biggest myths that I love to debunk with plant-based eating is that you can't get enough protein, but this is not true. We can get all the essential amino acids that we need from plants, and there's a lot of different sources, and they start to add up throughout the day as well. So beans, kidney beans, black beans, white beans, chickpeas, you name it. Great in hummus, great in tacos, great in soups. Lots of different options there. Lentils, all different kinds, red, yellow, green, brown, also great for salads and soups. You can make a lentil sloppy joe. Nuts are awesome sources of protein. Cashews, almonds, walnuts, you name it. You can have nuts as a snack, just nuts with fruit, or trail mix with some dried fruit. You can make cashew cheeses, which actually you see to the right there. It's a vegan cashew mac and cheese. So there's protein coming from the cashews. It's also mixed with soy milk and nutritional yeast, which are good sources of protein. And then some whole wheat noodles and a side of green beans for vegetable. And then seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, sesame seeds, hemp hearts, all great options for seeds. You can throw these like hemp hearts or flax seeds are really good in smoothies or oatmeal or cereal, even salads as well. And other seeds are good for mixing in a trail mix or topping oatmeal with, or salads as well. Soy foods are particularly high in protein, and this includes edamame, otherwise known as just regular soybeans, soy milk, tofu, tempeh, which is a fermented soybean. And those are great in stir fries. Soy milk is great as a beverage or with smoothies or in dishes like you see with the cashew mac and cheese. Whole grains, as I mentioned, are high in plant protein too. Some sources that are particularly high are like the quinoa, wild rice, as I mentioned. And then nutritional yeast is a good source of protein. It's a dry, inactive yeast. And then vegetables like green peas, broccoli, sweet potatoes all have some protein as well. And even foods that aren't on this list, fruits and vegetables, they do have small amounts of protein. So all these sources add up throughout the day to give all the protein that we need. And in general, most adults need just about 50 grams of protein a day. So not too much, and we can get that pretty easily. Benefits of plant-based proteins are that like I said, we can get all the essential amino acids we need, but unlike animal products, plant-based proteins have dietary fiber, which is great for keeping us fuller longer, great for those blood sugars, great for cholesterol too. So dietary fiber also binds with cholesterol and helps us excrete it through the waste. And so obviously the protein is going to be helpful for our muscles and tissues, and the plant-based proteins being really filling are good for weight management as well. And lots of vitamins and minerals going in there for good overall health and longevity as well. And the picture that you see off to the right there is teriyaki tempeh topped with sesame seeds. So that's where the bulk of the protein is going to come from. And then some protein coming from the brown rice there, and then some garlic steamed broccoli as well. So I'd love to hear from you guys. I'll go back to this side. Sorry, I forgot to ask. What is your favorite source of plant-based protein, or what is your favorite way to eat it? Or if there's something here that's a new food to you that you want to try new, go ahead and type that in the chat box. Ooh, roasted broccoli with nutrition leaves. That's great. Beans. Nuts and trail mix. Will you have recipes? Yeah, well, I'll share some recipe websites at the end there. All except soy, all beans. Yep, beans are great. Thanks for sharing, everyone. Okay, so next we have up calcium-rich plant foods and beverages. We want to include these at least a couple servings daily. Unsweetened calcium fortified plant milks, soy milk, almond milk, cashew milk, oat milk, all great options. Personally, I think oat milk is the best tasting. It's super creamy. But soy milk is probably going to have the most nutrition when it comes to protein, fiber, and calcium. And then beans and lentils are also great sources, all different kinds. Almonds, chia seeds, broccoli even are really great options. And the picture that we see to the right there is pho and an Asian bowl with brown rice noodles and broth. And then it's got broccoli, green onion, some herbs, it's got cilantro, basil, and then the calcium is going to be coming from that calcium set tofu, and then also a small amount from the broccoli as well. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What is your favorite type of calcium-rich plant food that you see here, or something that you want to try new? Oat milk. Someone join me on the oat milk. Wants to try figs. Almond milk. Chickpeas. Awesome. That's a great way to eat those. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And of course, the calcium is really good for our bones. The body is going to process these the whole food plant-based sources more efficiently than from cow's milk. Calcium helps support the nervous system, and it's really great for heart health and of course bone health, as I mentioned. And I put in there all the different types of plant-based milks. If for those of you that have experimented around, you can see on the shelves, there's tons of different plant-based milks out there. I mean, they've got flax milk, cashew milk, pea protein milk, you name it. So definitely encouraged to go around and try your favorite. The one off to the right would be more in the plant-based category and not the whole food plant-based category, but it's a nice treat having a chocolate almond milk. So this one. Okay, next I want to touch on omega-3 rich sources. And the best source is going to be flax seeds, which is why Dr. Greger had that in his list. We want to eat ground flax seeds because we can absorb the nutrients better than when they're in their whole form, unless we chew them up really well. Chia seeds are also a good source. Hemp hearts, walnuts, and algal oil you can get as a supplement. And the ground flax seeds are pictured here to the right on top of oatmeal. They're great for oatmeal, smoothies, chia seeds. You can make a chia seed pudding, which I have a picture later. And hemp hearts are also great for smoothies, oatmeal. Walnuts, fun fact, are also the most heart healthy nut because they have those omega-3 fatty acids. And the benefits that we're get from omega-3 fats are that it really is helpful for reducing inflammation. So it can help fight, research has shown that it can help fight depression, anxiety, and heart disease, and overall reducing inflammation. And here's the picture of the chia seed pudding. And this is just nut milk with chia seeds, a little bit of vanilla extract, maybe a little bit of maple syrup, and some raspberries on top. Chia seeds will gellify if you let them sit for at least 20 30 minutes, if not longer. You could do overnight oats or overnight chia seed pudding, which is super delicious as a snack or a dessert. Okay, so herbs and spices. There's tons of different herbs and spices, including fresh or dried are great options. When we're cooking, about half the amount of dry is equal to whatever it calls for fresh. Some to name, not limited to this list, are basil, parsley, cinnamon, cumin, ginger, nutmeg, and I will say that basil is definitely one of my favorite herbs, fresh basil. And I'd love to hear what your favorite herb or spice is. So go ahead and throw in the chat box what you prefer. Cinnamon, that's a great one. Dill, pepper. Ooh, cinnamon and coffee, nice. I don't know if anyone's heard of golden milk latte. So this is nut milk. You can warm nut milk on the stove with turmeric, cardamom, cinnamon, and you could use an optional sweetener, maple syrup, and it's a delicious, delicious mix. Garlic all the way. Yep, garlic on everything. Awesome. A lot of good benefits coming from herbs and spices. So of course they're going to enhance the taste, the aroma, the flavor of food, but they're also really helpful for our health as well. There's a lot of research studies showing the benefits that herbs and spices have. So most of them are high in antioxidants, and so they're anti-inflammatory, anti-carcinogenic. Some have been helpful to control blood sugar and cholesterol as well. Next, we have probiotic foods and beverages. So these are fermented foods or beverages that contain live active cultures. And some examples of this are raw sauerkraut, kimchi, pickled vegetables, tempeh, which is a fermented soybean, miso, which is a fermented soybean paste. You may have heard of miso soup, which is really common at Asian restaurants. Sourdough bread, and I will say about sourdough bread is we want to go for fresh baked sourdough bread rather than a processed one on the shelf. And then kombucha also has some good probiotics. And off to the right is some pickled beets, which are my favorite probiotic foods. Go ahead and throw in the chat box. I'd love to hear what your favorite probiotic foods or beverages are, or something that you see here on this list that you want to try new. Sauerkraut, miso. Ooh, cashew yogurt. Yeah, there's. I'll talk a little bit more about those towards the end, but those nut milk yogurts are super good. Sauerkraut, great. Thanks for sharing. Kimchi on the list to try. So that's fermented cabbage for those of you who don't know, and that's really great. It's a little spicy too. It's great for stir fries. So as I mentioned, these probiotic foods and beverages have live active cultures, which our gut bacteria love. And so they're really great for digestive health. It can improve metabolism, and they're also linked to good mental health, and they can help boost our immune system as well. So a lot of good benefits. And the picture off to the right is some sauerkraut. Next, I wanted to touch on different condiments. So these are going to be great for flavoring our foods. Mustards, vinegars, all different types, balsamic, red wine, vinegar, apple cider vinegar, salsa, hot sauce, soy sauce, tamari, nutritional yeast, lemon juice, cashew-based dressings, which is in the picture that you see up to the right. It's 100% vegan Caesar salad made from a cashew dressing. I think it had lime or lemon juice, nutritional yeast, cashews, garlic, onion powder, and maybe a couple other herbs. And added sweeteners and oils I put with an asterisk because this would be included more for just regular plant-based or vegan eating, not so much whole food plant-based. For whole food plant-based and reaping the most health benefits, we'd want to keep these to a minimum. But maple syrup, molasses, and date syrup are some examples. And then oils like olive oil, canola oil, avocado oil are all options as well. All right, healthy beverages to include. So water is our body's best friend. We want to get plenty of water throughout the day. If you don't like water, infused water is a good thing to try, like lemon water or cucumber mint can be really tasty. Or if you put like frozen berries in your water, can kind of trick the mind because it looks like juice. It turns the water purple or pink. So that's fun. Green teas, herbal teas are great options. Decaf coffee and fresh and cold pressed vegetable juices, again, avoiding the fruit juices, but those vegetable juices are okay. Plant-based smoothies are more of a full liquid, and unsweetened plant-based milks, as I talked about as well. So those are all count as fluids. And I'd love to hear from you guys. What's your favorite beverage? What's your favorite healthy beverage to drink, or what is something that you'd want to try new? Also, mine is herbal tea. I've been loving chai rooibos tea lately. It's super great. And I put a dash of soy milk in there, and it's almost like a latte. Black tea, yeah. Roasted green tea, interesting. Lemon water first thing in the morning, great habit. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so off to the left here, we have the recommendations from Harvard for how much water we should be drinking per day based on age, gender, and for pregnant women and breastfeeding women as well. And so you can kind of take a look at or think about what you're currently getting, including all those fluids, and see if you know where you're at, if you need to maybe drink more or less. And functions of water in the body. So there's a lot of different things that water does for our bodies, helps keeps us energized, but it's also going to moisten the tissues. It's going to help protect the organs and prevent constipation as well. It helps vitamins and minerals dissolve. It regulates our body temperature. A lot of great things that water can do for our body. So good to stay hydrated. All right. So overall, whole food plant-based eating, as I mentioned, this case study at the beginning with my dad is that it's really helpful for preventing, reversing, and treating heart disease. It's also been shown to help prevent, treat, and reverse obesity and diabetes, lower risks of cancer with eating whole food plant-based, as well as because it's so anti-inflammatory, it's going to be helpful for arthritis as well. It's helpful for improving mood and energy levels and just increasing overall longevity and quality of life. As we saw with the blue zones, people who are eating whole food, mainly whole food plant-based, are living the longest and healthiest and happiest lives. So really powerful stuff that plant-based eating can do. And the picture that you see off to the right is a avocado chocolate pudding. It's made from avocados, bananas, cocoa powder, a little bit of maple syrup, and it's topped with some raspberries. I think there's also some vanilla extract in there, but that makes another great dessert or snack. So here's a one-day meal plan example. Breakfast could be oatmeal with flax seeds, blueberries, unsweetened soy milk, as we saw earlier in the presentation. Snack could be a handful of walnuts with some apple slices. Lunch could be a chickpea salad sandwich with sweet potato fries and a pickle. And that's actually what you see off to the right there. And that's that Ezekiel bread, that sprouted whole grain bread. That is also a forks over knives recipe. highly recommend it. It's free on their website. And afternoon snack could be the super green smoothie that you saw and some air pop popcorn with nutritional yeast. Dinner could be the teriyaki tempeh with brown rice and broccoli, which we saw a little bit earlier as well. And I didn't put any measurements or things on here because it's important to remember that everybody's bodies are different and our needs will vary day to day based on activity, sleep, etc., and gender as well. And so going back to listening to our body's fullness and hunger cues is really important. And yeah, and every day is going to look different as well. So that's just one example. But ideally, we do want to fit in 3 meals, and a couple snacks are good too. Okay, so that ended the whole food plant-based portion. Now I'm going to get into regular plant-based products. So as we're starting to see the plant-based movement grow and grow and grow, we're getting a lot of food companies making a lot of different products. And while most of the health benefits are going to come from whole food plant-based eating, there's still a lot of benefits we can get from eating these plant-based products, particularly for animal welfare and helping the health of our planet as well. And also, all these plant-based foods are free of cholesterol. So there's 0 cholesterol, which is very good for our hearts. And yeah, so some examples of meat alternatives for beef, Impossible Meat or the Beyond Meat you may have heard of. A lot of fast food restaurants are getting the Impossible Burger. A lot of restaurants are featuring the Beyond Burger. And Morningstar Crumbles is another brand. The soy crumbles can replace beef. Some whole food sources that can replace beef, though, beans, lentils are great options. And then chicken. So Gardein is one company that's making vegan chicken nuggets. There's a lot of different brands out there. Like I said, these are just small examples of different brands, but there's a lot of brands out there. So feel free to experiment around. Pork substitutes could be Beyond Brats and sausages. Barbecue jackfruit is like pulled jackfruit, can be a substitute for pork as well. Deli, Tofurkey is a brand that's making like turkey deli slices, chicken deli slices. Field Roasts or Light Life brand is making like smart dogs, which are like hot dogs. And so lots of options out there. And these are really great for people that all these plant-based alternative products that I'm going to be talking about are especially great for those who are first starting out and finding it really difficult to avoid meat and cheese because you're still getting that similar texture and flavor, but all from plants. Next, we've got dairy alternatives. So we can find any type of dairy product in a plant-based form. So there's a lot of yogurts. I know someone before mentioned about a cashew yogurt. I've been loving the soy milk yogurt. Plain unsweetened is going to be the best for health, but some of the ones that are sweetened with sugar are obviously a lot sweeter. And then we already talked about the milks, and there's some creams, nut milk creams as well. Cheeses, Mayoker's Creamery is personally my favorite brand, though a little expensive. I think it's worth it. There's really tasty cheeses. They've got mozzarella, sharp cheddar. Follow Your Heart, BioLife are also making like the slices and shredded cheese. Ice cream, Ben & Jerry's actually has, I think, 13 flavors of non-dairy ice cream now. So lots of different choices there. So Delicious is another good brand. There's butter, there's sour cream, there's cream cheese. And these are found at most grocery stores, but like something like Whole Foods, Plum Market are going to have even more of the specialty items. And Trader Joe's as well. Oh, and I forgot. I wanted to actually ask you guys, has anybody tried any of these plant-based meat and dairy products? And if so, what's your favorite? Or is there anything that you see here that you'd like to try new? Go ahead and type it in the chat box. The chicken nuggets. Gardein, good brand. Earth Balance. Cheese alternative. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Next, we have the seafood alternatives. I have yet to try some of these things, so I can't say how they taste, but Sophie's Kitchen makes a vegan tuna. You can find that online, fried fish and fish sticks. Gardein is one of those brands that's making some of those. And then you can also make crabless cakes. So there's a lot of recipes online for vegan seafood. If you just type in vegan seafood recipes, Hearts of Palm is a particular food that can create a more of a seafood like crab or lobster texture. Someone said, try to vegan tuna. Yuck. Okay, good to hear that review. Hopefully the food scientists will work on their formulas and make it a little better. Plant-based egg alternatives. So Just Egg is one of those companies that is making a vegan egg alternative. This is made from soy protein isolate, and that's in the picture that you see out there to the right. So it looks incredibly similar to eggs, as you see. Tofu Scramble would be a little bit more wholesome. You can drain tofu and press it with a fork and mash it down to mimic scrambled eggs. If you put a little bit of turmeric in there, it'll make it yellow and really look like scrambled eggs as well. And then for baking, you can make a flax or a chia egg, which is mixing flaxseed or chia seed with water and letting it sit for a little bit to gellify with the water. That'll help act as a binder for baked goods. All right, and then we got other like plant-based pre-made or frozen meals. There's tons of different options out there. These are just a few brands: Amy's Kitchen, Sweet Earth Foods, Dr. Prager's making some veggie burgers. And a lot of these are found at Trader Joe's, Aldi's, Kroger, Meijer, Whole Foods, and more. You can look online for certain products as well that are more processed. And we want to look for the vegan certification as well. So that is an example there on the screen, signifying that the product is vegan. And finally, I'll talk about some other tips for going plant-based. So my first recommendation is finding your why. So figure out what's important to you and why you want to go plant-based. So whether that be for animal welfare, you care about animal lives, or planetary health and helping fight climate change, and or if you want to improve your health, that could be a reason as well. For if you got family history or you've been diagnosed with a chronic disease, find your why and bring that motivation to the forefront of your mind when you're faced with tough decisions. The second thing is getting support. So making behavioral changes are a lot easier when we do it with somebody or we're held accountable. So work with a healthcare provider that's knowledgeable about plant-based nutrition, vegan nutrition, or do it with a friend or a family member. And then staying educated. So looking, reading educational resources, watching documentaries, reading articles, reading books. I'll share some of those resources shortly. And that's really important for, again, finding your why as well. Experimenting is really important. So there's tons of different plant-based foods out there. So write down what works and what doesn't, experiment around, try new recipes, and see what you like. And then staying positive. So stress manifests physically and mentally. So we want to remember to have positive self-talk and not get down if you slip up at all. And supplementing is also really important. So B12 and vitamin D are particularly important, as well as iodine. And that you can take as a quick supplement, super easy. All right, and here's all the resources that I have, not limited to this list. There's tons of different resources out there, but these are some of the favorite ones that I wanted to highlight. And another thing I recommend generally is if you have a family history of a chronic disease, or if you have a chronic disease, watch or read educational material on that chronic disease, which can be super helpful as well. So China Study by Dr. Campbell, that one is focused on cancer. How Not to Diet is focused on weight management. Fiber Fueled is geared towards gut health. Preventing and Reversing Heart Disease, of course, is heart disease. And then the Alzheimer's Solution, of course, is Alzheimer's as well. There's a lot of great research on whole food, plant-based eating, preventing Alzheimer's as well. A lot of great recipe websites. I know someone had mentioned in the chat box wanting to know different recipe websites. So those are great options. Another thing is too, if you want to make something, I mean, just type in vegan or plant-based recipes, and I'm sure a ton of options will come up. But those are some of my favorite websites. Got some documentaries over there. Documentaries can be super powerful, super motivating. As I mentioned, the Forks Over Knives documentary is what got me and inspired me to go plant-based. That's a great one. Game Changers is a really more recent one that's really helpful for anybody who's an athlete or men typically. That's really a motivational documentary for, and there's also some podcasts there as well. So my references, as I mentioned, a lot of leaders of the plant-based movement. And I'm ready for any questions now. So thank you so much, everybody.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chantal. That was wonderful as always. I'm just going to say first those last two slides where Chantal shared all of her resources and references. I'm putting a Google Doc, a link for a Google Doc in the chat box right now. So you don't have to write all those down yourself. So you can just refer to this Google Doc, save it, and you'll be able to easily access all of those awesome resources that Chantal has put together for us. I'm also just very briefly putting the Veg Michigan survey in the chat box as well, if you want to open that up and just fill that out for us real quick after the Q&A. And now we already have some good questions, so we can get the Q&A started. We'll go with, so the first one is from Rachel from a while back, and Chantal, it references the slide where you're talking about the different diets of vegan versus plant-based. And you just talk about there's some that you're supposed to avoid, and there's some foods that are just a no. And Rachel is just curious, like the difference between avoiding a food or just straight out no for a food. I don't know if you want to just explain that slide once again.
Yeah, if you'd like, I can go back to that slide. But they're really, like I said, they're interchangeable. So avoiding and not eating them are interchangeable. But that's where veganism comes into play. So vegans are very strict to not have them at all. And so you can call yourself vegan and plant-based, but someone that's plant-based might have animal products, very small amounts of animal products. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely. Jacob is asking, I don't know if you have any idea the answer to this, but he was just wondering why is it that some things are considered vegetables, even though they're technically fruits, such as bell peppers or tomatoes or things like that?
That's a great question that I would have to look a little more into. I think it's just the way we prepare those certain vegetables or fruits, that they seem to be more called one or the other, but that's about all I got for you.
That makes sense. A real quick, Rachel is just asking if you could put the resources link slide back up, the second to last slide.
Yeah, of course.
And Rachel as well, I'm just adding it to the chat box. Once again, hopefully you can see this. This is here, let me see. So here is a Google Doc in the chat box, a link to the Google Doc that has all of these exact resources, just in a way that you'll be able to, keep a tab open of that and continue to look at it as much as possible. Oh, she says the next slide. Rachel says the next slide. Yep, all those references are also in the Google Doc if you want to just click on that link and reference that at your leisure. Excellent. Okay. Janet asked just about gluten-free choices. I think she was referring to the Ezekiel bread. I'm not sure if that's gluten-free, and maybe just other gluten-free swaps for traditionally glutinous items.
Yeah. So the Ezekiel bread does have gluten. It's whole wheat. I'm not sure if they have a gluten-free brand. I'd have to check on that. They might. But there are some gluten-free breads out there, bread products. Sometimes they're more in the refrigerated aisle the frozen section. So good to be aware of that. But corn, like corn tortillas, so those are a great option instead of like whole wheat tortillas. corn is naturally gluten-free. And a lot of other of those whole grains. So let me go back to that slide of the whole grains. So wheat, barley, and rye all have gluten in them, but all these other whole grains are naturally gluten-free. So oats, quinoa, brown rice, wild rice, and whole grain pasta. So an alternative to pasta could be brown rice noodles, chickpea noodles, lentil noodles. And then popcorn is naturally gluten-free. Cereals you can find made out of rice or like brown rice puffs kind of. And then corn is naturally gluten-free as well. Farro does have a small amount of wheat in it. And barley is from wheat as well. But yeah, a lot of good options for whole grains that are gluten-free.
Very nice. Yes, definitely a lot of ways to eat good gluten-free things. I feel like more and more gluten-free products are coming out every day.
Right.
Okay, so April asked, isn't too much soy bad for you?
So no, more of the most current research is saying that soy is actually beneficial for a lot of different chronic diseases, particularly cancer. And some of the old research was that it wasn't so good for cancer, and I can't remember specifically the science of it, but what the technology that we have now, we've learned that soy is actually helpful for preventing cancer. And so I don't think it's possible to eat too much soy. I would recommend choosing organic and non-GMO soy.
Absolutely. April also asked if you have any recommendations for sweetening plain yogurt ourselves with plant-based flavors.
Yeah. So fruit is a great way to naturally sweeten different meals and whatnot, but you could also use maple syrup, molasses, and date syrup are some of the more have a lower glycemic index, meaning they don't spike our blood sugar quite as fast. But of course, the more you use of it, the more it's going to spike the blood sugar, but still great plant-based options.
All right. Diane asks, what is vegan tuna made of? I don't know if you know the answer.
I haven't tried the vegan tuna. I would guess, soy is really common for these plant-based alternatives. So that would be my first guess, but don't quote me on it. I don't know for sure. But you can find that online, the whatever tuna brand. So I found that one online. You can buy it. It's the Sophie's Kitchen. So yeah, we could look that one up. But yeah, my guess would be soy. Not too sure.
I'm only familiar with the brand Good Catch, which they come in like little pouches. I think they have 3-ish different flavors. And they're pretty good. I just tried them recently, but I definitely recommend them. I'd say definitely on their website, they have a lot of different recipes of different ways to use the tuna to cook it. And just from my memory, looking at the package, I believe it's just made from a whole slew of different like legume-based proteins. I know there's pea protein, I think maybe lentil protein, chickpea protein, maybe. So,
Okay.
just finding all those great plant-based proteins.
Yeah, that's good to know. I just wrote that down.
It's pretty good, and I think it's pretty readily available. So if you're looking to try some tuna, check out Good Catch. I enjoyed it. Okay, Diane is asking if you have a resource for arthritis.
Arthritis.
Anything specific or any foods you recommend or anything to Google?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there is an arthritis foundation. I think there's probably some sort of organization you could look up. I'm not too certain, as my specialties were obesity and heart health so far, but definitely anything anti-inflammatory. Like I said, whole food plant-based, it can cover, all these chronic diseases, they're all anti-inflammatory, but anything high in antioxidants. So particularly those fruits and vegetables as well, anything with deep colors. Still even white vegetables like cauliflower have a lot of good nutrients in there, but those leafy greens are really great for fighting inflammation.
Great. It looks like it is 7:30, but there are just a couple more things. This is more of just a statement, but Rachel's just telling the group that oats are not always gluten-free, so make sure to double check that they are gluten-free oats if you have a gluten sensitivity. That's a great point to bring up. Thank you, Rachel. Janet is asking or saying that she's been having a hard time finding non-GMO soy. And if you have any recommendations of where to find non-GMO.
So most grocery stores should have non-GMO organic soy. I mean, I will say probably Kroger and Meyer for sure, but then those more health food stores like Whole Foods for sure will have the organic. And if you can't find it, always check with the store, the staff or manager. They can be helpful in finding certain products because sometimes, with all the products at grocery stores, it can be hard to find certain things. So they might have it and it's hard to find. So always double check with that.
Absolutely. Okay, and as it's 7:32 already, just the very last thing is Susie says she wants to know how you were able to get your dad to change his eating habits. She said her dad's doctor and her have tried to get her dad to change his ways, but they haven't had any luck.
Yeah, it can be really tough. There's a lot of different factors that go into what people eat, and food is really sensitive topic for a lot of people. So I totally understand where you're coming from. What I did with my dad is that he calls it a little retreat. I had him and my mom come down to where I was living in Ohio at the time, and we watched the Forks Over Knives documentary, and we watched a number of interviews and TED Talks as well. And I also made him a plant-based meal. And I think that's what sold it home, is because when you try the food and you taste it and you're like, wow, I can do this, it tastes good. That's a really big seller. So maybe not even talking about it and just bringing over food is a really good start. And baby steps can really make a difference over time. So it's important to remember that as well. But yeah, definitely those documentaries are really motivating. And if you have a family history of chronic disease, I know you said maybe his doctor was working with him. So maybe he already knows that it's helpful for chronic disease, but that can be particularly motivating as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, food definitely wins people over. And I'd
Yeah.
say as well, if you like to cook and if your dad has a favorite meal that's not vegan, almost any meal can be veganized these days. And there are so many plant-based alternatives to, swap things out. So maybe try to make one of his favorite meals, but just make it vegan or at least parts of it vegan, as Chantal just going slowly easing it into it. But yeah.
Yeah, great idea.
All right, I think that's it. Yeah, Anna or Maggie from Troy Public Library. I don't know if you have anything you want to say, but from Veg Michigan, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. And thanks so much, Chantal, for speaking. And thanks so much to the Troy Public Library for hosting.
Thank you, Olivia. And thank you, Chantal, for so much great and inspirational information. We hope that everyone has enjoyed tonight's program and will be able to take away some useful tips that will be beneficial for yourselves or your loved ones. In case you're really inspired by what you saw tonight, this program has been recorded and you would be able to find it and watch it again on the, it'll be posted to the Troy Public Library website probably within the week. So if you go to our webpage, our homepage, and look under the adult tab, you'll see our virtual program archive and you'll be able to find it in there. So you will be able to see it again. I'd also like to point out that a lot of the resources that you talked about are going to be available at the Troy Public Library. So if somebody wants to watch Forks Over Knives, we have that DVD. We also have a lot of cookbooks and books like the China Study and McDougall's and McGregor's books. So don't forget to tap into the library for those resources and take them home and enjoy them and really digest them. So I think that that's about all I have. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight and watching this. And thank you both again. I think it was fantastic and looks like we had a lot of positive comments. So have a great weekend, everybody. We hope to see you soon at another Troy Public Library virtual program. And be sure to watch your email or check our calendar for what's coming up next.